Thanks to those joining me live and to those that'll be joining me on archive. This is D-Style being joined by Joe Habib of Ringside Reporter and Eric Lorda of Ringside Reporter. There you go. All right. How's everybody doing? Make sure you hit that like button if you're listening on the replay or archive, and let us know in the comment section what do you think of these topics, of course. Shout out to the chat. And let's go ahead and get this one started. Just I want to start off with this breaking news. So it looks like even after the DAZN signed this big contract with AJ, and what is probably the biggest fight of his career so far, a rematch with Usyk, which he might lose, Sky wins the bid. It looks like Sky will be hosting, at least in the UK, is going to have the rights to the fight. I don't know about the US. Maybe Beeb knows more about that. But Joe Beeb, what's your reaction to this news? And are you surprised?
It's ridiculous. First of all, they signed Joshua with the future very uncertain, right? Now, if he loses to Usyk, can he still get other fights? Yeah, but I mean, who's he going to fight? Because all the other big fights that could be made with him, they're with fighters from other promotional companies. So there's going to be major roadblocks in that. So if he loses to Usyk, where does he go? Can he fight Joe Joyce? Not really, because that's a guy who's with Frank Warren. Can he fight Wilder? Possibly, but again, it's PBC. Wilder's not going to want to go fight on DAZN. So this just throws another monkey wrench into the plans of DAZN because once again, they make a move that just doesn't work out for them. Because, again, the future is uncertain. So why would you sign these long-term deals with fighters? Same thing what they did with Golovkin. They signed a long-term deal with Golovkin for multi-million dollars. What did they get out of it? It took them forever to get this Canelo fight that they hoping for probably 3 years ago. So it took them 3 years to get the fight they wanted from both guys in Canelo and Golovkin. So I'm just curious to see how we're going to be able to watch it. Now, I was able to buy a Sky pay-per-view. Clarissa Shields, forget who she fought, but I was a pay-per-view and I bought it on
the
Sky.
French girl from Canada.
Yes. What's her name? Dakari? Something like that.
Yeah, so for the undisputed championship, and I don't remember her name.
Yeah. Dakari or Dakari or whatever. I bought that on Sky. It was like only $20-$30. So I know this ain't going to be $20-$30, but hopefully there's going to be a way for us to buy this pay-per-view, unless they work out a situation with DAZN where maybe they may carry the U.S. portion. I don't know. But if Sky has exclusivity to it, I don't know how people in America are going to be able to watch this fight. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, wow. Eric, what's your reaction to this?
I have a hard time. They won't show the fight in America. I have a hard time with that. I don't think that's going to happen. Even if they put it on pay-per-view, I think you'll still be able to watch it. It's a big enough fight. So I do think it'll be on pay-per-view. I am shocked, at this, that DAZN will not carry this. I'm shocked that it's exclusive to Sky Sports. Like you guys said, he just signed a huge contract with DAZN. And again, if he loses, which is a very real possibility, I'm not sure he loses, but if he does lose it, like I said, it's a possibility. Where does he go from here? What's he going to fight? Derek Chisora? You know what I mean? I mean, seriously, who's he going to fight? Everybody else is on the other side. All the big fights, they're all on the other side of the streets. So, yeah, not a good look, man. And then like Beeb just said about Golovkin, again, they signed Golovkin to this big deal or whatever, all so they could fight Canelo. And he gets that fight when? 3 years too late? And how many times has Triple G fought since then? I mean, really, they've not got his money's worth out of that guy. There's no way. Not with the fighters he's fighting. No. He's not been in a marquee fight since the last Canelo fight.
I mean, that's 100%. And I'll tell you what, if you're at DAZN, I mean, you're in this business to get a return in your investment. Are you going to get it? Are you about to watch your investment get his ass beat by Usyk? Is that about to happen? And I know what some people might say. They're going to say, that grudge matches sell. AJ versus Wilder would still sell. You think Al Heyman is going to loan out Wilder over to DAZN? Think it's going to happen? Good luck with that one. All right. If anything, AJ might have to go to Showtime or Fox, but then the DAZN's not going to want that because they signed an exclusive contract with this guy. I mean, I don't know. I think short term, I understand why Eddie Hearn made that deal with the Saudis because he's going to make a lot of money. But long term, I don't know if this is going to work out. You know what I mean? I just don't. I think he made a mistake long term. Just saying.
Well, Eddie Hearn and Joshua always have a place to go in Sky. Adam Smith loves Joshua and he considers him a good friend, and he likes Eddie and he respects Eddie, and they're always willing to do business with Eddie and Joshua. So the big thing here is DAZN. They're the ones with the problem. I think Eddie Hearn will be just fine and Joshua will be just fine, but it's DAZN that really I don't know how this is going to be sustainable. Every move they make seems to just blow up in their face. Every move. Oh, you're being a hater. No, I'm just telling the truth. Just telling the truth. Let's be real about this.
Don't they talk about that? You got to think that this isn't, when they talk about signing this guy or Triple G or whoever, it's got to be on your mind. What happens if he doesn't win this fight? Then where does he go? Especially with Joshua, because this is this is the rematch. And if he doesn't win this fight, where does he go?
What I said this
that
before.
had to be brought up in a meeting. When you're talking about millions of dollars like this, that's got to be brought up in that meeting.
I said this before, Eric, and it makes no sense if you sign someone for 6 fights, that's virtually 3 years. How can you project what a division is going to look like 3 years later? Why make such a long-term investment with the fighter? Haven't these platforms learned from their mistakes? Why sign a guy for like with Arum when he signed Crawford for such a long-term deal, and then he couldn't get him the fights, so now you're stuck paying him a certain amount, and you just end up losing money. So I just think that it makes sense. Go back to the old days. You sign a guy for a 2-fight deal. You know what I mean?
Well,
These 6-fight deals,
age bracket too. I mean, How old was he when he signed? You know what I mean? He was going downhill when they signed him. Why would you sign him to that big?
He was in his late 30s. He was in his late 30s when they signed him that long. So this just doesn't make sense.
I don't understand that.
I mean, a third grader could figure this out.
Just get ready, man. The zone. AJ versus Chisora. You know what I mean? I mean, the second biggest UK fight in history. They'll do it at Wembley probably. I don't know if it'll sell out. But.
Unless Pulev wins, they'll be fighting him, So.
The rematch.
AJ Dillian White 2.
They might do that too.
Yeah.
Because what else are they going to do? I don't know. Like a rematch with he could do several rematches, but nobody wants to see them. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up since it was something that was occurring. Shout out to Chicano Prophet and to G-Funk in the chat. Stephen in the chat, how's it going? Let us know your thoughts, of course. You know what I mean? Don't just lurk in the shadows, But I want to go ahead and talk about Joe Joyce really quick. We all saw his performance. I thought he looked not so spectacular, but that's my opinion. Is Joe Joyce a real threat to the AJs, the Usyks, those top? Is he really a threat? I see a lot of nodding, so I'm just going to stop talking there. B, what's the big threat about him?
This guy's a monster. He's a machine. He's the second best heavyweight in the world right now.
Behind
TF. He's the second best heavyweight in the world behind TF.
No way.
I don't care if Usyk beat him in the amateurs. It's only 3 rounds.
I was going to ask you he's top 5, but
World Series of Boxing's only 5 rounds. This guy, he is like Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. You keep hitting him. Remember when we were just smashing they were hitting him with tree logs. They couldn't stop the guy. He just got stronger as the barrage of things that they threw at him came at him. He got stronger. That's what Joe Joyce is. There's never been a more fitting name for a fighter than the Juggernaut. The Juggernaut.
Nah.
Guy's unstoppable.
I can't. Eric, are you sold?
Listen, I don't share the same enthusiasm that Beeb does about this guy, but I will tell you this. He did make me a believer in that one fight where that guy's eye swelled up and he quit. Do you remember which one? I don't remember his name, but I think he's a champion now. Yeah, okay, yeah, probably him.
Such defamation.
Defamation.
Wow.
So in that fight, he did make me a believer in the sense that I know that guy is like, he can give anybody fits on any given night. So now whether he's the goods or not, that I don't know, but I know he can give people fits. That's for sure.
Knocks out Joshua.
No,
Knocks
I
him
don't
out.
think so. I don't know about
Knocks
that
him
one.
out, man.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Well, I'll let you elaborate on that, but let me just say this: I'm not gonna talk about how slow he is. That's number one. But what I want to touch on is this, babe. You call him, like he's like Jason, right? Or like Michael Myers or whatever. Like he just keeps coming and he doesn't stop. And he reminds me of Homer Simpson, right? Because that was his style. Like his style was, you're going to beat the shit out of me, but you're going to get tired of beating the shit out of me and then I'm going to wreck you, right? Because that's his style. Like Hammer was beating the shit out of him, but he got tired. He gassed out. Dubois was beating him up, but he got tired and his eye got injured, right? That's his style. Like even against Takam was lighting him up, but Takam got tired. Like you can't rely on that. That's not sustainable. I'm telling you, babe. It's not.
He does get hit a lot.
It's not a sustainable style.
When he gets hit, he doesn't even flinch. You can't hurt this guy. He's a machine. He's a machine.
There's no such thing as a guy that can't get hurt. So let me ask you this: you think he
Like
could
the
beat Deontay Wilder?
Wolverine. He is like the Wolverine. He's got superhuman regenerative powers.
You think he's gonna regenerate taking right hands from Wilder?
To tell you the truth, if Wilder hits him square on the face, Wilder could shatter his fist.
No,
He won't be able to throw the right hand again for the rest of the fight, and he's done. This guy's a machine.
You're not serious.
This guy's a monster.
I can't wait till he starts bleeding in the match so I can start yelling, you see, he's not a machine. He's a man. Like I'm
like ringside Robbie wishing harm on people now. Come on.
waiting.
Don't start wishing harm on people.
I don't buy this. He's a machine thing. This whole you're gonna beat me up till you get tired, then I'm gonna wreck you style, because that's the style. Tell me I'm lying. It ain't gonna work on everybody. It's not gonna work on AJ. I'm just gonna tell you right now. AJ, beat me up until you get tired. It's not gonna work against AJ.
This guy's got a jab from hell, man. You see that jab? That big. Come on, man. Got the hammer jab.
You know what? I've never seen, since he fought Dubois, I haven't seen that jab like that. To me, that was his best performance when he fought Dubois. And now he's got to start, to me, he's got to start fighting somebody. He's got to start
Wait till
fighting
he
some
steps
rank
up. You haven't
guys.
seen the best of him yet. You have not seen
Well,
the best
we're
of
waiting.
him yet.
We're
Wait
waiting.
till you see when he steps up. He's going to stop body bagging people. I can't even say that. I'm sorry. Can't say that.
So
He wishes
this
harm
is
on
all.
people, man.
It's just by design, babe. Is that what it is? It's all by design.
You haven't
Like
seen the
getting
best of
hit.
him. You haven't seen the best of him. He's like TF, man. He can be whatever he needs to be on any given night.
Tommy Fury?
No.
Like the big TF.
He's like Tommy Fury, but he just has
There's
a
only
better chin.
one Tyson Fury. So maybe go grab my shirts. Come on.
Oh man. Well, it is what it is. Look. Here's a fight. Just to stick to the heavyweights, so we can move on. So the much anticipated rematch that we all clamored for and asked for, Pulev versus Chisora. They're going to fight. It's probably is it on pay-per-view over there in the UK? Are they paying for this?
I'm not sure.
They probably are paying for this.
I would imagine.
It's on the zone, though. It's on the zone, so I think everyone's getting it on the zone.
Okay, that's probably right. Okay, cool. They pay $1 or whatever they pay. So who do you got in that fight? Let's start with Eric. Who do you think is going to win the fight, Chisora or Pulev?
I think you can flip a coin on this one. I think Pulev gets him, but I mean, both of these guys are not what they were, put it that way. And where does the winner go from here? I mean, honestly, like where does the loser, where he goes, but where does the winner go from here? And why are these two fighting it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even understand like why these two, you decided to put these two together. Chisora's been through the ringer. Pulev's been through the ringer. why are we watching this? You know what I mean? Why are we seeing this? You know, I mean, so I don't know. I think Pulev probably wins, but at the end of the day, you know, again, what does the winner really get out of this? He ain't getting a title shot.
And they're gonna get AJ.
They're gonna get AJ
on the zone
after Usyk gets him.
You know what I mean? It's taking a headline the zone card with AJ.
The Juggernaut.
That's right. That's the only one there.
The Juggernaut's ranked #1 by the WBO. Man, he's going to be the mandatory before you know it.
Yeah. Good luck collecting that WBO. All right.
The Juggernaut will not be denied.
Man, you're so pumped about the Juggernaut. You forgot about the Chisora Pulev, but go ahead.
When TF retires, the Juggernaut's going to carry the mantle. Just letting you know. So here's the thing, man. Chisora did not look very good in that Parker fight. He almost was on the verge of getting stopped, and you could really see him age before your eyes in that fight. He looked, what a difference between the first fight and the second fight. So that could be the beginning of the end, and he could go off the cliff. He was hanging off the cliff in that fight. Pulev could push him off it in this fight, and this could be the end of Chisora. I think Pulev is going to stop Chisora. I think Chisora needs to get inside in this fight, but Pulev has a decent outside game. He's got a great jab. He knows how to set up that right hand very well from the outside. And I just think that swinging for the fences style of Derek Chisora is only going to make him tired. Pulev knows how to slow the pace of the fight down. You get too close to him, he grabs you, he leans on you. He's a physically strong guy. I see Chisora coming out fast, blowing his wad toward the middle rounds, and I think that Pulev is going to stop him with an overhand right.
He's going to blow his what now?
He's going to blow his wad.
Gotcha.
I didn't say he's going to blow his, you know what? I said he's going to blow his wad. Get your mind out of the gutter, man. Get your mind out of the gutter. It's a family show here.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to show people just not really related, but it has something to do with Pulev. When this ref wanted Frank Mir killed, I don't know if you guys saw this.
Yeah.
He was clearly out. Look at this. Look at this. Look, what is this ref waiting for? I just don't know what he's waiting for.
Was that Mergliata? Was that Dan Mergliata, the referee? I can't tell from this angle, but
that ref,
the ball
looks like Dan it looks like Dan Mergliata. I don't know if it is or not, but that's who it looks like.
That ref should be arrested for conspiracy to commit murder.
Damn.
Because he almost let Frank Mir get killed in that fight.
It was neglect for sure.
He should be arrested for conspiracy to commit murder.
Damn.
I want him out of there.
Yeah, but just because Pulev looked good against an old washed-up Mir in a boxing fight, I'm not convinced he's there like that. But I do think he's going to beat Chisora. Chisora just isn't the same anymore. I just don't. Like I said, he's going to get pushed off the cliff. I got Pulev by a very boring decision. I think that's what we're going to.
I think he's going to stop him.
Stop him. Could happen. But like Eric said, well, okay, so Pulev wins, then what?
Fight Joe Joyce in a WBO eliminator, man.
Okay.
He's already the #1 contender.
He'll get folded up.
That would be okay. So that would be a good fight for Joyce. That would be a good fight for him. Not necessarily one we like, but that he puts a name on his record. You know what I mean?
Right.
Very true.
I like Frank Mir. Frank Mir is cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to touch on the a fight that I find very intriguing. Okay, this coming weekend, and that is Ray Vargas versus Mark Magsayo. All right, this is an interesting fight, and I'm going to let you guys know right now. I got Ray Vargas not only winning this fight by a landslide. I don't think Magsayo wins more than 3 rounds in this fight. I just don't. He's not going to stop Magsayo. He's not. And it'll be tough for the first 3-4 rounds. But I think Ray Vargas is a guy, he doesn't do anything like, wow. There's nothing that you say, oh, my God, look at that. but he does everything decent. Like everything. He's got a decent jab, decent counters, decent right hand, like everything, right? And he's got the fundamentals down. He's a Nacho, like he's a good fundamental fighter, and he's got a solid jab. And I think that's good enough to beat Magsayo. Okay. That's what I got. Beeb, how do you see it, brother?
It's a coin flip. It really is. The odds suggest it. They have both fighters at a -115. I'm going to go with Magsayo because I like Magsayo's foot movement. I like the fact that he comes in angles and doesn't stay in the pocket too long. You know, he goes, again, the term I like to use, I consider him somewhat of an ambush fighter, right? He likes to go in and out, doesn't stay still, throws quick flurries, and, you know, he can catch you on the way out as well too. You know, he's a decent counter puncher. I think he's got more versatility than Vargas. Even though Vargas is a tall guy, he likes to get close and mix it up. Doesn't always use his height. He's a very good fighter, but I don't think he's got as quick as feet as Magsayo, and I don't think he'll be able to pin him down because I think the movement will give him some problems. And I think I could say, in my opinion, I think Magsayo is a bit quicker than Vargas as well. And I think the movement and that speed is going to give Vargas problems. And I think Magsayo will win a hard-fought decision here. I could see it maybe 7-5, 8-4.
Okay. Lee Groves from RingTV.com. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good. Doing good. Thanks for coming on last minute.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Magsayo versus Vargas. How do you see that fight?
Well, on the one hand, Magsayo is the younger, fresher guy. He's coming off the biggest win of his career. But the circumstances surrounding that win has some observers wondering whether he's a one-hit wonder or not, because you got to remember Gary Russell Jr. injured his shoulder. He basically lost his right jab, and somehow he was able to go the distance despite that injury. So, you know, Magsayo beat a one-armed guy, so we still don't really know how good he is at world level. I think this is going to answer that question because Ray Vargas is 5'10 and a half. He's got a 70-inch reach. He's got the dimensions of a welterweight, and he's fighting at featherweight. And the thing about Ray Vargas is that he knows how to fight tall. That's how he's made an undefeated record. He commands distance. He has good work rate. Has pretty good defense, but he does have issues with cuts, especially from headbutts. That could be a possible avenue for Magsayo to win an extra one. I think that also Magsayo has had issues from time to time with stamina. He has worn down in some of the late rounds of his fights. He finished strongly in others, but it is a potential weakness there. I think that Magsayo, I don't know what the betting odds are. He's probably the favorite.
No, he's not.
He's not the favorite.
They're both a -115. It's a pick'em. It's a dead even.
So it's a pick'em fight. I like Vargas's experience. I think his comeback fight was a pretty good one. He performed fairly well. He knows how to fight the way that he does. I think that he can peck, poke, drill some holes through Magsayo's defense. If the fight is entirely on the outside, I see Vargas winning a decision. Magsayo's key is to get inside and unload that power. I just think the experience and ring generalship and the know-how is going to help Vargas win this fight on points.
All right. Eric, who do you think is going to win this fight?
I think Magsayo is going to win this fight. I think it's a very close fight. I think it's a very close fight. But I think, I do think Magsayo is a little bit quicker. I do think that he's got a little bit more power. I don't think he stops it. I think it goes to a decision. I think it's a good fight. You could potentially be looking at the fight of the year here. This is two evenly matched guys. And we don't see that often, especially nowadays. You always see one, miss, not necessarily mismatches, but you know kind of who's going to win going in. You know who's the favorite and everything. This is a pick'em type of fight, and I think that's what I'm really looking forward to, is watching these two guys in there, because you're looking at two evenly skilled guys here, man.
Well said. And Calix right in the nick of time. You know what I mean? Magsayo, Vargas, who you got?
That's a tough one. It's literally a toss-up fight, D-Style. Toss-up fight according to Vegas odds. And I understand why Magsayo's got something going right now, right? He just beat Gary Russell Jr., but he beat a one-armed Gary Russell Jr. And then in his fight before that, he was actually floored in the 5th round before he eventually got the knockout. But Ray Vargas is a guy who's been on his butt on the canvas a few times as well in his career, which is why it's an interesting fight. I think this is the first or second, probably a second fight Vargas has had at 126, so he's fairly new to the division. His KO percentage is deceiving, because if you look at his last 7-8 fights, he's only got 1 stoppage. But he's a guy. It's weird because he's a guy who can punch. He can punch, but I don't know how much of that's going to carry up to 126. Magsayo can punch too. I just lean Magsayo on this, and that's just, I don't have a good handle for how it's going to play out. I just know it's going to be an exciting fight, but I don't have a good handle on how it's going to play out as far as the result of it. It's going to be a great fight, entertaining. Brandon Figueroa is fighting on the eliminator right before this, so it's going to be a fun night, another fun night in San Antonio. But I don't get a good feel for it. I just edge Magsayo, just the momentum.
Okay. All right. I look, one more thing I wanted to add. I don't know if anybody agrees with this, but I feel like this could be similar anyway, stylistically. And I'm not saying these guys are as good. Don't get me wrong, but I think it could be very similar to a Marcus Pacquiao stylistically in terms of the excitement. I think the styles are made for each other. And I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised how exciting this fight is, because Vargas isn't known as an exciting fighter, but Magsayo is going to do the things necessary for the clash, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch.
Vargas is he's a tall dude. He was a tall dude at 122. He's even tall at 126. So, yeah, but he does get hit a good bit too. It's an interesting matchup.
Absolutely. Shout out to Tony Boswell. Much respect to D-Style in the chat. Stop the show support. Hit the like button. Salute. Just got off of work. Shout out to Tony Boswell, man. Shout out to you, brother. Well, that's that. You know what I mean? So as far as that goes, I want to go ahead and get everybody's reaction. Okay, we're going to start with Eric Lorda. Eric, what's your reaction to the historic announcement? All right. Of McKilla Mayer against Baumgardner, and also Shield versus Marshall. 10 round, 2 minutes, back to back. Let's go.
I think it's great. I love watching amateur fights. I love watching 2-minute rounds. I love watching a championship fight go 10 rounds instead of 12, 2 minutes instead of 3. Yeah, absolutely. Who wouldn't want to watch this? No, I'm not looking forward to it at all. It's amateur rules. It just is. I mean, I don't understand. Here's what I don't understand: why they don't lobby for 3-minute rounds. And they can moan all they want about not getting paid, but you're still, listen, 3 minutes, 12 rounds. The UFC does it. The same with the women. 5-minute rounds, 5 rounds. They don't tone it down to 3 minutes. They don't tone it down to 1 minute. Listen, it is what it is. Start fighting. There should be no handicap here. You're the same as the men. You guys have the same talent as the men. Start acting like it.
Damn. Okay, Calix, what's your reaction? If you want to follow that up, go ahead.
I'm gonna play the devil's advocate on that respectfully. After watching Taylor Serrano, I think one thing that can be unique to women's boxing as opposed to men is, if you watch that fight, it was fast paced, and I mean it was just flying through, and it felt like after that fight you wanted more of it. But I think the 2-minute rounds can be unique to women's boxing. I don't really have a problem with it, because 3 sets in women's tennis as opposed to 5 to men. You look at basketball, women play 40 minutes as opposed to men playing 48 minutes at the professional level. It's done. I just think I love the fast pace of the round. They know that they have to get those punches in, and it adds entertainment value to it, and it adds a unique aspect to the sport. And I was actually of that opinion last year. Remember? I mean, I talked about they need a lobby for 3-minute rounds to give us more knockouts in women's boxing because women needed more knockouts and they needed rivals, like legit rivals. Every sport that is great has rivals. You have to have rivalries. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be. I was watching. What's the where they throw the beanbags through the hole? I was watching that the other night on ESPN.
Cornhole.
Yeah, cornhole. I was watching that because there's actually rivalries in it. I'll watch anything. So, what I like about this is there's an organic. It's not only subsidizing it. This is an organic build to women's boxing that's going on. You have legit hatred here between Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields. You got legit hatred between all of these girls who are fighting Mayer and Baumgardner. So that's what I like. I want the rivalries. I want the beef, and I don't mind the 2-minute rounds though. I really don't because I enjoyed the fight just flying by in the action pack. They know that they have to land those punches quick. They know they got to get the work in.
Okay. Alex, let me ask you something real quick. Don't you think though it devalues their titles? Don't you think it devalues the fact that they can do the same thing? And you know as well as I do, they're very skilled fighters. They're very skilled fighters,
yeah.
And I could say some of them are just as good as the men. In fact, I mean, you know what I mean? As far as the championship level fighters, they're very good. They're all the same. But why not have a 3-minute round? Why not go the championship rounds?
I don't think the minutes do. What devalues it to me is, in D-Style and I have talked about this with female boxing, is the amount of women in each division, right? It devalues undisputed. You can't compare an undisputed female champ right now to an undisputed male champion. You have to go through a lot more hurdles as a male champion. But that, what we just spoke to, organic growth, that's going to fix itself. My daughter does karate. The generation before, she probably did not. And she'll likely do boxing at some point. And I think more men are putting their daughters into combat sports. And as you see that, those numbers are going to pick up. And I think we're going to see a much different sport 10 years from now. And whether it's 2 minutes or 3-minute rounds at that point, I don't know. But I don't mind the 2-minute rounds as much as I thought I would. That Taylor Serrano fight changed my mind on that.
Oh, wow. You don't want 2 more rounds? You don't want 12?
I was fine with the 20 minutes. I was fine with it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Lee, what's your opinion about this announcement, man? Sync card over there in the UK.
So this past weekend on Fight TV, I was on with James Smitty Smith on our show In This Corner, the podcast, and I was asked the previous week, what are the 5 women's fights that I would most want to see? And then 7 days later, less than 7 days later, 2 of them come to pass, and they're on the same card. That just blows me away, and I'm very, very happy to see that. And adding to it, you know, it's going to be at the O2. I don't know if it's at the arena, the big arena, or whether it's at the 20,000 seat. Does anybody know that for sure? But in any case, I heard that this was going to be an all-female card, top to bottom. And if that's the case, then I think this is going to be a very nice test case to see how well-known championship level female fighters can draw. If they can draw a full house, especially in the big arena, then that would give them the ammunition to say, pay us, because we prove that we can draw. And that would be a very interesting thing. The same question was asked before Clarissa Shield and Christina Hammer. You know, was this the biggest women's fight in history? We saw earlier this year, we saw that Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, they filled up Madison Square Garden, full house. And those last 30 seconds, man, that's what the women's game has been fighting for decades. Full house, brawling in the middle of the ring, crowd standing as one, totally appreciating it. Big stakes, big fighters, great finish, close fight, whatever. And now this card, I think, ups the ante even more because, as Calix said, we got 2 genuine grudge fights. One has been building for 10 years. One has been building for 10 months between Michaela and Alicia. And we're going to see the grudges come true in the ring. Hopefully they can settle it. I'm really looking forward to this card. I can't wait to see it. As far as the 2-minute rounds, 3-minute rounds, probably the time to have addressed that was during negotiations, because now they're getting paid based on fighting 10 2-minute rounds. I think the time to bring up possibly 10 3-minute rounds or 12 2-minute rounds would be during the negotiations, and then the sanctioning bodies would have to okay it, all 4 of them. And you know how cooperation is in boxing. It's very, very hard to get. So for undisputed fights, I wouldn't mind 12 2s. I wouldn't mind 12 3s. I wouldn't mind 10 3s. Something special, something to up the ante, something to have a more demanding physical test, because these women are proven world-class athletes. And they've shown that they can compete at the highest levels of their sport. Why not lift the platform a little bit more? Ask them to confront an additional challenge. I think that would add a little more juice to an already juice-filled card. But that time has passed. We've got what we got. I'm thankful for what we got. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and just to answer Lee's question there, it's at the big arena. Oh, too.
The bigger,
I just looked it up.
50, 60,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Looked it
Oh,
up.
yeah. If they can draw that kind of crowd, that's a statement. That is a big statement. And the statement is we can draw, and also women's boxing is here to stay. And I think that's very welcome.
Well, there you go. There you go. Hey, and by the way, shout out to Slide Tendencies. I appreciate you becoming a member. Much appreciated, brother. Beeb, talk to us. What do you make of the announcement, brother?
I just want to touch on the 3-minute round thing real quick before I start with that to answer your question. The big problem for me with the 2-minute 10 rounds is when they were in amateurs, they were fighting 3 minutes. So then they go up to pros, and then they're going down to 2. Now, I could deal with maybe 3 10s, but 2-minute 10 rounds is it's like a double whammy for me. And ironically enough, Calix said that Taylor Serrano fight changed his opinion. It kind of reinforced my opinion even more that we need 3-minute rounds, because I found myself saying in that 5th round, what if there was another minute? Would Taylor have made it? Right?
I don't think
And like Calix said, I wanted more. So give me more. Give me 3 10s instead of 2 10s. So yeah, I'm a big proponent for at least 3-minute rounds. I can even deal with the 10 rounds, but at least make them 3 minutes.
Hey, be real quick though, and I don't mean to cut you off.
That's fine.
For somebody who follows UFC as well, I'm sure somebody on this panel does. What do the women fight in there? In
The same.
UFC?
They fight the same 5 rounds, 5-minute rounds. Yeah.
And I was also gonna, talk about that as well, because then when you go over to UFC and you see these girls fighting 3 5-minute rounds for championship fights. And here's another thing. Amanda Serrano fought in the UFC, not in the UFC, but she fought in MMA. She's had MMA fights. So has Clarissa Shields, and a lot of these boxers, female fighters, have tried MMA because they tried to, supplement the income a little bit because they couldn't always get the boxing matches. So when they go over there, there's no rule change. So if they could do it over there, then they can do it over here too. Okay, so to get back to this great doubleheader that we're going to have, I think Taylor Serrano did set the bar And now because of that fight, we're not only getting one great fight, we're getting two great fights on the same card. And I got to give credit to Alicia Baumgardner and Micaiah Mayer for putting the ego in check and saying, okay, for one night, we'll be the co-main, right? Because that fight could easily be a headliner. So give them credit for, putting their egos in check and, not minding sharing the bill with Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields. It's a great move, and I commend both women for doing that. This Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall fight, I think, is going to be a great, great, great fight. I think Claressa Shields may be a little bit more aggressive in this fight. She may try to make a statement and say, you know what, everyone thinks I can't punch. Everyone thinks I'm just a boxer. I'm going to go for it in this fight. And if she does go for it, it's going to put the onus on Savannah Marshall to say, well, you know what, I'm not going to be able to lay back, because Savannah Marshall is a methodical fighter, right? And if Claressa Shields gets in her chest same way she did to Christina Hammer, because I thought Christina Hammer had a real shot in that fight, and she was just dominated. I have a feeling that we could see not the exact same fight, but a similar fight where Claressa Shields, uses her movement, and when she does get inside, uses her physicality, because she may not be the biggest puncher in the world, but she's a very strong woman. And when she does get up close to her opponent, she knows how to bump them and knock them off kilter and knock them off balance and forces them to reset and makes them very uncomfortable. So I think she could do that as well to Savannah Marshall, right? So I think it's going to be a great fight. I think Micaiah Mayer and Baumgardner is going to be another great fight, but I do like Mayer. I think she's a little bit more technically sound than Baumgardner. I think she's more calculated, and she can set up her shots a little bit better. She's shown to improve, and she's actually added a little bit of an inside game to her arsenal as well, shortening up shots inside. It's a real fluid combination puncher, and she really knows how to gauge the distance and work off that jab from the outside. So I just think that this is a can't-miss card, and I believe we're going to get it for free as well. I think it's going to be on either ESPN or ESPN Plus for us, and I think
ESPN Plus.
Yeah, it's going to be on ESPN Plus for us, and over there they're going to it's going to be on regular Sky. So you're getting two great fights, and it's not even going to be on pay-per-view. Now, we think of that. This is a much better card than Ruiz versus Luis Ortiz, and that's a pay-per-view. So talk about bang for your buck. You're really getting it here.
There you go. A lot of bang for my buck, because it's only 2-minute rounds. So when I do that, that's fine. But look, I just want to say this. First of all, I'm ecstatic about the fight, and I think Marshall's going to win. I have Mayer winning, but they're good fights. They're not going to be easy, and of course, the other girl will win. So it's those type of fights. They're competitive fights, at least on paper, and we'll see how it goes. I just don't. I don't see the Hammer comparison, babe. I just don't. That's me. I think there's a big power dynamic in this one.
You're right. The big difference is Hammer was a boxer with a really good jab, but she didn't have a lot of power. Savannah Marshall showed in her last fight she has power, lots and lots and lots of power, and she also has this languid, fluid style. She statistically speaking, she can generate high volume just like Claressa can, but the difference is that Claressa, I believe, has scored only one knockdown in her entire career, and that was against DAZN, who was coming up from welterweight, and Claressa was coming down from super middleweight, right? So, that says something. But Claressa makes it up with athleticism, with work rate. She's got the superior experience. She fought Hannah Gabriels. She came back from a knockdown in the first round of the Hannah Gabriels fight. She faced down the pressure that came with the Hammer fight, and she dominated that fight. That speaks well for her. So it's experience versus physicality and power. And right now I'm leaning toward the physicality and power. and also the psychological advantage of having beaten her 10 years ago. Yeah, Claressa was 17. Yeah, Claressa has gotten a lot more experience since then. But there's also the fact that she also lost an MMA fight recently, Claressa did. And there was an aura of invincibility that was surrounding Claressa up to that point. We had never seen her lose. And now she was in a combat situation and she lost. And that kind of, that might burst that bubble a little bit. Baumgardner can look at that and say, oh, yeah, she's not invincible. I beat her, and this other girl beat her. Why not me? Why not me another time? But as for Michaela and Baumgardner, I agree with Beeb. I like her versatility. I like her long-range game. And she showed against Hamadouche that she can slug if need be. I thought that was a very risky strategy to try against Hamadouche because Mayer basically gave her the only way that Hamadouche could win the fight, and yet Michaela Mayer won the fight. And so that proves something to me. That proved her versatility. When the going gets rough, Michaela Mayer has the goods to get through it and to be victorious. I think she's going to do it again. I think she's going to box more because Alicia Baumgardner has more power. She's got the power that is worthy of respect. And I think she's going to use the long-range game to score points and become the 3-belt champion.
Gotcha. Hey, Calix, I know you were going to make a point, brother. What were you going to say?
No, just one last point. It'll take me about 30 seconds. And I'm probably the least knowledgeable on this panel when it comes to females boxing, but it's entertaining. It's awesome to me how far female boxing has come. If you just sit and observe, because 10 years ago in the YTBC, 5 dudes wouldn't have sat here and had a 15-minute segment on women's boxing. It wouldn't have happened. And a year or two ago, we wouldn't have thought that Madison Square Garden would be full for a women's fight and the O2 Arena would be full for an all-women's card. So that tells you how much progress has been made. And then just think of what the landscape is going to look like a decade from now.
We'll see. At least as far as trajectory, you're probably right. Let's go ahead and get to the mid-year awards, right? And we'll go around. So just give me one name, one fight, right? Once everybody goes, then you'll be able to give me all the bag you want, right? So just
with me.
That's right. I don't want to say any names or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, remember that ref? You know, like when the refs are like direct, like they're giving instruction, but they just look at the one fighter. And they're like, So let's go ahead. We'll start with Eric here. Eric, as of right now, who's the fighter of the year for you? Who's the front runner?
Man, I'll tell you what, fighter of the year right now, Lee Wood. Lee Wood knocked out Michael Conlan. He's got the upset of the year. That was the fight of the year. You could say it was the KO of the year. For me, it's Lee Wood all day.
Okay. All right. Calix, who's the front runner for you? Fight of the year.
Bam Rodriguez. And I think clearly right now for him to move up to 115, defeat Carlos Quadras on short notice to win a legit belt, and then decide, hey, I'm going to stick around in this Shark Tank and pick a fight with the toughest SOB in the toughest division in boxing in Storung Vise and stop him. He stopped him. You don't stop Storung Vise, and he did, and he's going to say, I want to fight again this year. So Canelo proved last year that it's tough to beat a guy for fighter of the year who's fighting 3 times a year in an era when guys are part-time fighters. So I think that's going to give Bam the leg up, especially if Bam beats Chocolatito. It looks like they're trying to get that fight in December. Mm-hmm. So Bam's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right. Lee, you concur with anybody? You got somebody else? Fight of the year so far.
I concur with Calix. I think Bam right now is the front runner because most of the other contenders have only fought once. And Bam has already fought twice. And with the circumstances that he laid out, going up at last minute, going up a weight class, beating a guy for the championship, Quadras, and then going on to beat Sor Rungvisai. So that's 2 of the 415-pound headliners over the past decade. Now, the harder ones are to come, Chocolatito and Estrada. But not only did he beat them impressively. I mean, this guy put on a show in both of those fights. And the Sor Rungvisai one was even better than the one against Quadras. Thing about it is that Bam Rodriguez, who was going to take a 108-pound title fight, like earlier in the year, if the alphabets didn't step in, he goes up to 115, and he becomes the first man to knock out Sor Rungvisai since 2009, when he suffered back-to-back knockout defeats in his first 2 pro fights. No one has stopped Sor Rungvisai since, and Bam did it, and he did it as the youngest man to hold a widely recognized world title. He's only 22 years old. Is he pound for pound yet? Not quite, but man, he is on his way. So right now, Bam's my front runner.
All right, we got Bam. Right, B. Who do you got, brother?
I'm gonna have to say Jermell
Joe
Charlo.
Joyce.
I'm gonna have to say Jermell Charlo because he became undisputed and he was in a virtual 50-50 fight. A lot of people didn't know who was going to win that fight. I myself picked Castaño to win that fight, and I thought it was going to be a close competitive fight, and it was for a little bit, and then Castaño got taken out. So looking at the circumstances of that fight, the significance of that fight, and how that fight ended, going to have to go with Jermell Charlo.
I like that pick. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to concur with Calix and Lee. I'm going to go with Bam Rodriguez. He beat 2 top guys in his division when he moved up, and he beat them convincingly. And I'm telling you right now, Quadras knocked down Gallo. Okay. And yes, Gallo won that fight, but it was a tough fight. And Rungvisai is 1-1 against Gallo. He has 2 wins over Chocolatito. Look how Chocolatito looked. So this dude's no joke. And people say, oh, but the inactivity, okay, but he did it to 2 guys, right? Like, so all I'm saying, as of right now, and we have a long ways to go, but as of right now, this moment, and it's really because of the activity. It's 2 fights. Of course, he could get beat out, right? So next question is, can Bam Rodriguez hold it, or will somebody beat him to it, Calix? Is he going to stay as fight of the year in your opinion?
It's going to stick. It's going to stick. Like I said, I think the activity is going to do it. And this has been a year of top fighters putting on great performances. And guys are going to have opportunities, right? Because if Errol Spence beats Ugas and Crawford, he's got a case. If Golovkin becomes undisputed at 168, he's got a case. But the thing is, like, a lot of these guys are just going to fight once in the year, and that's going to be the problem. I don't believe. I just want to make a quick point with this because I think people need to hear it. Fighter of the year is a full-time award. It's a full-time award. So half year, it's okay if you fought once, but you can't be a part-time fighter and get a full-time award. You can't. So to me, fighting at least twice makes you a full-time fighter.
Gotcha.
If you fight once, you cannot get fighter of the year.
Go ahead, Pete.
So if Charlo fights Tim Tszyu and knocks him out impressively, would it be strong consideration?
What if Errol Spence beats Crawford?
Yeah.
If Errol Spence beats Crawford, he's the fighter of the year in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and he would be.
I would give it to him.
I just don't. The reason I say it sticks, I think Bam's going to stick, is because I don't see that happening. First of all, you got to make the fight, and then you got to beat Terrence Crawford. I just don't. I put the odds of both kind of low right now.
All right, fair enough. Bam could fight Gallo Estrada and beat him. You never know, right? So we will see how that one goes. All right, this one should be a little more interesting because, fight of the year. We're going to go reverse now. Beeb, What is the fight of the year so far?
Oh, that Michael Conlon Lee Wood fight for me. That was a phenomenal fight.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go with that one.
Just like that. Okay. Okay. Lee Groves, what's the fight of the year so far? Oh, you're muted. Go.
Sorry. Oh, I'm on now.
Yes.
Okay. That's a really good choice. Lee Wood and Conlon, very dramatic fight, very dramatic ending. Thank God Conlon's fine. Twists and turns, changes of momentum. I think another candidate would be Lubin and Fundora, because of the both men went down. The stakes were really high. You know, and Sebastian Fundora came through after getting knocked down, and he just put a whooping on Erickson Lubin. Really stamped himself as a leading contender. And another fight is Mauricio Lara and Emilio Sanchez, which was just a war. But I think right now I would probably agree with Conlon and Lee Wood.
Okay. Calix, fight of the year so far. What's your pick?
Yeah, Lee just named my top two, but I'll go also with Lee Wood, Mick Conlon. I just think it had it all. The ebb and flow of it, the momentum, both guys being hurt, and how it ended. Phenomenal fight.
Okay. I'm going to surprise everybody. I'm going to pick Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. I thought that was a great fight. It was dramatic. There was almost a stoppage. It was ebb and flow. People were debating after who won and who didn't win, and there was drama. It was a sold-out Madison Square Garden. Like, it had everything. And then, of course, the significance of it. You know what I mean? It was a big, significant fight. It was the fight that we finally got. We didn't get Anna Wolf versus Leila Ali. We didn't get Lucia Riker versus, Christy Martin, but we got this one, and I think the fight lived up to it. Just my opinion. Eric, what's your fight of the year?
Easy one. Wood Conlon. Just like I said, man, it had it all. And Michael Conlon, Lee Wood is such a great story. Michael Conlon's another great story. And the fight just had everything. And I'll be honest, I think that's going to be a tough one to unseat through the year. I'll be honest with you. I think that actually sticks as fight of the year.
So since the majority picked that one, Eric, I want to ask you, do you think it's going to make it to the distance? No, not 12 rounds, but 12 months. Is it going to make it the distance? Do you think it'll be hard to beat this fight?
It will be very hard to beat this fight, especially the drama that you had in it, the two characters that you had in it. I mean, you're fighting in Lee Wood's hometown. I mean, it had everything, man. It just had everything. And it ended dramatically. Lee Wood wasn't supposed to win this fight. This was a Conlon fight to win. This is why they put him in that fight. And for Lee Wood to muster that up and put on the performance he did, I mean, it had, you can't beat that. You can't write that kind of stuff, man.
You can. It was a very dramatic ending, for sure. No doubt. I want to give a shout out to Lubin and Fundora. I mean, that fight was a hell of a fight too. I know some people, like, no one named it as their number one, but I see it a lot out there. But anybody have any honorable mentions before we move on?
That was my honorable mention.
I got one quick question. This is a ridiculous question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Do you think Golovkin and Canelo could be a fight of the year? Because Golovkin, he's got nothing to lose, right? This is his swan song.
It might be knockout of the year too,
right? And Canelo's going to go right at him. Could this be fight of the year, man? Could both guys get a knockdown on each other? I mean,
that's not a ridiculous question.
How does this work?
And
am
also,
I crazy? Don't answer that. But am I crazy? Don't answer that. Go ahead.
Well, here's another thing, and I think Calix brought this up earlier. If Golovkin wins, he could be a possible fighter of the year because he unifies the middleweight title with Ryota Murata, and then he becomes undisputed super middleweight champion at age 40.
Lee,
that's a hell of a case.
If Golovkin wins this fight, even if even if Spence beats Crawford or Crawford beats Spence, I think he would be fight of the year based off of the long odds he had to overcome to do that. Moving up
and he
in
did it in
weight.
Japan, the first fight.
I mean, winning upset of the year doesn't make you fight of the year, but that's a different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
It's my vote. It's my
all
vote.
right,
It's
fair
taking the
enough.
vote away from me. Come on.
Fair enough. Fair
Please.
enough. Fair enough. I mean, we're not taking. We're not going to take your vote. We're not going to take your vote.
Please.
All right. So a lot of great fights, man. And I don't know. Usually it's always a fight in the second half that wins the award. Maybe because it's the most recent fight people remember. But let's go to knockout of the year. And I think I already know the answer. I'm gonna ask you anyway, Eric. Knockout of the year.
I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go with Fury and White. I thought that, to me, that was a good one. Knocked him out. It's what he was supposed to do, but it was dramatic. And that was a fight that a lot of people thought it was going to be somewhat competitive. But I was surprised that Fury took him out the way he did. To me, I thought that was knockout of the year for me.
Okay. All right. Calix, knockout.
I really struggle with this one, D-Style, because there were two knockouts that I loved, both on DAZN, both across the pond.
And you're
One more recent than the
one.
other. And I'm gonna stick with Lee Wood over Kylan. Just how it was done, him knocking him out the ring, and the time and score have to matter, right? I think you have to take all that into play, and that's why I picked this one over the other one I was going to mention as my honorable mention, because time and score matter, and the fact that he was down on all three scorecards, he had about 2 minutes left to get the stoppage, and he pulled it off. The crowd goes crazy. He knocks him out the ring. You can't beat that.
Okay, all right, Lee. What's the knockout of the year so far?
Let me throw another candidate into the mix and see what you guys think. Joe Cordina versus Kenichi Ogawa.
That was
For aesthetics, it was a title-winning one-punch knockout, and he wasn't really supposed to do that. He's not that kind of puncher. So I like to throw that into the mix. It may not win because it's not a real high profile kind of fight that would win a year-end award. But man, that came out of the blue, and it was one of those heart-pumping knockouts that boxing fans live for.
That was a perfect.
Yeah, definitely. Beeb, so far, knockout of the year so far.
This is a very easy one for me. Johnny Depp over Amber Heard. That was knockout of the year. No.
Let me rephrase the question. The knockout of the year in the sport of boxing.
Okay. I was gonna say Joe Cordina versus Kenichi Ogawa as well. That was beautiful. That was a highlight reel. That was like right out of a movie.
Okay. You know what? I agree. I think that's the knockout of the year. All right. So I want to go to you, Beeb. Is it gonna hold? Or are we gonna? Do you think it can hold?
Yeah, that was a pitch. You couldn't even write a better story than that. That was a picture perfect right hand. The way that was thrown, that was like Rocky 7 right there, baby.
Okay. Now, Calix, do you feel it's gonna be the Conlon one, or what should we think? What is gonna win? Knockout of the year so far.
At the end of the year?
Yeah, like more likely.
Well, let me make two quick points. One, I think a lot of great matchups are going to be made in the fall. Like there's a little lull in the summer, so I don't know if these awards are going to hold. I think you're going to have a lot of crazy stuff happening in the fall with boxing, with the matchups they're going to make. The other thing I was going to bring up with Cordina and why that's a good one, and I really struggle with it, but Cordina was not supposed to knock Ogawa out. When people were talking about that fight coming in, it was either the two picks that people were making was either Ogawa was going to knock Cordina out or Cordina was going to win by decision. That was it. Cordina was having issues with his hand, and he knocks him out, and he does it in that fashion. It wasn't supposed to happen.
Well, there you go. All right. let's go ahead and by the way, I do agree that Fury knockout of White was something like that. That was a nice, beautiful uppercut, and he just like timber. I mean, Jesus Christ, that might be. Is that the only one punch knockout of like Fury's career? Like without an accumulative.
I think it might be. I mean, that's what shocked me. It was a one punch shot, and that doesn't happen with him.
Greatest of all times.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that one, but best of his era. All right, this one's interesting. All right, hey, Beeb, we're gonna start with you. Trainer of the year. Who's the front runner right now for trainer of the year?
Wow, that's a tough one.
Is it? I mean, you picked Jermall for fighter of the year. I don't want to put any hints out. I don't want to leak the witness.
I was gonna go back and forth with this one, but I am gonna say Derek James because of the Errol Spence win and the Charlo win. I'm gonna say Derek James.
Yeah. Do you think, just ask straight out, do you think it'll hold? Like, do you think?
Well, I'll tell you this: if Bam wins another fight, and if Joshua wins, Robert Garcia is a lock. It's a fucking
is he?
lock.
What is Spencer Crawford?
Doesn't matter.
Could be.
Well, that's a good one. Wow, that's a good one. You're right. Wow.
There you go.
I don't know.
Lee.
Wow.
Oh. Okay. Well, think about that one. You think about that one. Lee, who's the trainer of the year so far, in your opinion?
I agree with Beeb. I think it's Derek James because of Jermell Charlo becoming undisputed and Errol Spence becoming three-belt champion on the verge of hopefully fighting for undisputed, and especially if Spence beats Crawford and becomes undisputed as well. Yeah, in this age of undisputed being like the top of the top when it comes to claiming supremacy over your contemporaries, to have two under your charge, that's a signature. That's a signature accomplishment.
That's right. Yeah. Calix, who's the trainer of the year, and will it hold or will it fold?
I'm gonna go in a different direction than everybody's saying Derek James, and that's a good pick. But I'm gonna go with the guy who got the bag. He secured the bag. Robert Garcia. His fighter is about to make $40 million to fight Usyk, and he's getting a percentage of that. So good for Robert Garcia, just off the strength of securing that bag in competition with all the other American trainers for Anthony Joshua's services. I'm going with Robert Garcia.
Okay. And is it going to hold? He's going to finish the year trainer of the year?
No, because Usyk will defeat Joshua.
Man, okay. Eric, who's the trainer of the year so far, in your opinion?
So far, I got to agree with the panel. Derek James, I think you got to go with that. But in the fall, when he fights Errol Spence in the Terrence Crawford fight, Bomac will become the trainer of the year, and that will hold.
Oh, okay. All right. And then that'll be a big win right there. Then Crawford becoming a two-time undisputed?
The biggest fight that can be made right now is the Crawford-Spence fight. So whoever comes out of that could very well be the fighter of the year. You'll have the trainer of the year right there. I don't care how many champions the other guy trade. It doesn't matter at that point. That's the biggest fight of the year. That'll be the guy.
Now this is a big if Canelo beats Golovkin, comes back, wins a rematch against Bivol, right? Could Reynoso be thrown in the mix? Like, is that possible? Is that curveball possible, panel?
That's like asking, like, if I go to the moon. No, because he's not. He already said he's not fighting Bivol this year. They said that fight's going to happen May 2023. So that's just not going to happen. So no.
What if I grow 6 inches and add 10 feet to my vertical leap?
What if?
Would I be an all-star in the NBA?
What if? You never know.
I've seen you play basketball. No, that's a hard no.
Only if the other candidates lose a big fight as well. I don't think it'll happen.
I do agree that Derek James is a front runner right now. I mean, in welterweight and super welterweight or junior middleweight, whatever you want to call it. Okay, in those 2 weight classes, okay, we're talking about 7 of the 8 belts. 7 of the 8 belts in the possession of his 2 fighters. That's very impressive, right? So, hey, it is what it is. But what about this? Let me just throw this one out there. What about Papachenko? Like he's training Usyk. If he defeats Joshua, Lomachenko comes back and maybe has a fight with Haney or something, or you never know, right? Could he get in the mix? Or is that one a double?
If he does the Usyk Haney double, yeah, he's in the mix.
Okay, all right. Is Freddie Roach in the mix? Or what's he been up to?
Oh,
no, he's out of the mix.
He hasn't done anything this year. Come on.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. I'm going to start with Eric with this one. What is the platform of the year? Like ESPN Top Rank, the DAZN Matchroom, the DAZN Golden Boy, whatever that mix is. What is a top platform for you so far this year?
I like ESPN and Top Rank. I think they put on consistently good fights, competitive fights, solid fights. DAZN is always hit or miss. In fact, we talked about this, I think it was last week, some of the cards on DAZN and what they're putting on lately. It's like, come on, man. I do like ESPN a lot. I'd like the Top Rank a lot. Yeah, that's my favorite.
All right. Calix, same question.
Dead Zone in the building. Look, my KO of the year, my fighter of the year, my fight of the year, performance of the year, upset of the year. Guess what they all have in common, D-Style? They all happened on Dead Zone. So I'm going with the DAZN Matchroom. And you know what I like about the DAZN is they give me a mixture of a bit of everything like that I used to have, say, 10 years ago. I used to be able to go on ESPN Friday Night Fights and see that level of fighting and go to Showtime and HBO for the big boys. So they give me a good mixture of top shelf fighters, the Anthony Joshuas, the Canelo Alvarez's, and then they give me a mixture of just good matchmaking with, say, average opponents. So I can watch fights from Japan, I can watch fights from UK, and I can watch fights from America. So I enjoy what they put on, and I think they've had a good year so far.
All right. Lee Groves, same question to you. What's the platform so far?
Yeah, it's really between the Plus and DAZN. And Calix, I was going to say ESPN Plus, but Calix kind of talked me into picking the Dead Zone. So there you go.
You know what turns me off about ESPN though is just the commentating, the analysis, and the fact that even if they put on a good fight, you got to wait till 4 a.m. in the morning till sunrise to see the main event, and there's an hour in between fights, so that's frustrating to watch.
Ooh, wait a minute, you can't. I mean, what about Sergio Mora and Chris Mannix on Dead Zone? I mean, they've got to be the worst pair. I mean, Tim Bradley's bad, but
my guy Carl Froch is on there though.
You know what's interesting that
like
for
Darren
some
Barker.
reason,
Darren Barker, I think, is a very good analyst on DAZN.
Yeah.
I really like the way he breaks down fights, and
yeah,
he had a very good observation for the Kid Galahad fight. He said that Kiko Martinez was looking to land the straight right hand down the middle. And wouldn't you know, a round later, he lands that straight right down the middle, and he scores the upset knockout. So I like that. I like particularly Darren Barker on the DAZN.
I just want to know why is it that on DAZN, specifically when Mora is announcing, right, or commentating, I should say, they never throw like regular hooks. Right, it's always check hooks.
Check hooks, yeah.
Like, what is it about these fighters that they got to throw a check hook when Mora's trying to fight?
It's a verified hook.
I remember one time, really quick. I remember one time, like a dude landed like a regular hook. I forgot what fight it was, and Morris commentating. He's like, "See right there? They call it a check hook because he checked them." And I'm like, "Stop." Okay, what is the platform combination for you, man? Well, what's so far this year for you? The bang for your buck.
I gotta say ESPN Plus, man, because they put on a lot of good fights, man. Because again, you know, you got Josh Taylor versus Catterall, right? You got Nonito Donaire versus Inoue. These are all good fights, man. You know, you got Joe Smith versus Beterbiev.
Haney Kambosos.
You got Haney Kambosos. You got Valdez versus Shakur. These are all good fights, man. Really good fights. Like the Zone had some decent fights, but they haven't been as consistent as ESPN. ESPN across the board has put on the better fights. And you know, we had to pay the pay-per-view for the Fury White fight, but we also had to pay the pay-per-view for the Bivol Canelo fight on DAZN. So that's the thing. So I'm gonna have to go with ESPN. And here's the thing about ESPN: they have the app, they have the regular channel, and they have the pay-per-view. So they got everything. They're the only one that has everything, right? So.
And no love for PBC. Can PBC sneak themselves in by the end of the year so far?
They killed themselves with the pay-per-views. They killed themselves. Yeah. They got disqualified.
Damn. So it's Thurman really Barrios didn't like do it for you? Like, is that what you're telling me? Like, you know? Well, I will say this though. I mean,
the best pay-per-view I bought on Showtime was Logan Paul versus Mayweather because of the upset.
Very good fight, by the way. Logan Paul from Titletown.
Because of the upset.
Upset?
Look, it's close for me with the Zone and with ESPN. It is, but I'm going to give the edge to ESPN because they charge a lot less. Like they just do. And look, I feel you, Calix.
That's true.
I feel you about the long. It's almost like I'm tired of ESPN trying to sell me the fight when I'm already tuning in. Like, bro, I'm already here. Like, you know, I wouldn't be here if I'm not gonna watch it. You know, like you don't need to like Kriegel doesn't need to sell it to me. Like, you know, it's just I'm already here. You know, but so I feel you with all that, but I can't stand Chris Mannix either. Like, you know what I mean?
Would be my pitch though, D-Style. If I could make a pitch to you real quick, it would be moments. Moments make the sport, right? So think about the great moments this year. Most of them happen on DAZN. Yeah, I mean those were great fights, great matchups that B brought up, but I feel like the moments were on DAZN this year. Wood Conlon,
one punch
Cordina,
TF,
Bam Rodriguez twice. Yeah, B, but you picked the DAZN fight for knockout of the year, so you're not helping your case here. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Hey, but Nando Yama says Bud is a man with no country. His lack of leverage is killing the Spence fight. Money and rematch clauses are likely heavily in Errol's favor. Very, very interesting. Look, I'm going to go with ESPN just overall. Right. But make no mistake about it. I mean, I'm satisfied with the Zone, but I'm not like, you know, like it is what it is, you know, but let's go ahead and proceed to the next award. We'll start with Eric here. Oh, I'm sorry, Beeb. We're going to start with Beeb. Beeb, what is the performance of the year? Which fighter had the best performance so far?
I would say Dimitri Bivol versus Canelo Alvarez. That was a beautiful performance from him. I've never seen, well, I can't say never, but the way that game plan was executed to a T in that fight, you could just tell like he had Canelo's number. He must have been studying, and he knew exactly how to fight Canelo. was a beautiful performance.
All right. Lee, what is the performance of the year so far?
I like Habib's choice. I do, but I would pick Bam Rodriguez against Sorungvisai just for the aesthetics of it. He was so on point. The pivots, the footwork, the sharpness of every punch that he was throwing, and of course the knockout ending. He could have gunned for the knockout at other points of the fight, but when he hurt him in round 8, he still had the wisdom at age 22 to pick that moment to turn on the jets. And boy, did he turn on the jets, and he finished the job. It was an all-around brilliant performance. And Twitter was alight with tweets about Bam Rodriguez being a top 10 pound for pound. And considering where he was a year before, for Bam Rodriguez to perform so well as to inspire that kind of talk from boxing Twitter, and not just from one person, that's a heck of a performance.
All right. Calix?
This is performance of the year, not upset, right? Correct.
Performance, yes.
Performance. I have to agree with Lee. Barely edging out Joe Habib. I think that Bam's performance against Sorungvisai compared to what I expected to see. I had Sorungvisai winning one round, and I was in the minority there. Everybody else had it a sweep. He dominated Sorungvisai and stopped him. I still can't get over that. Like, he stopped him. This guy is a boogeyman at 115, and he stopped him. Just a phenomenal star-making performance, and it was a pound-for-pound performance, as was B-Ball's. But Bam's just, it did everything for me. It was not only great, it was exciting at the same time.
All right. Okay. Eric, performance of the year.
I like the Rodriguez Rungvisai fight, but I'll go a different route here. I'm going to say the Arthur Beterbiev versus Joe Smith fight. And Beterbiev in that fight looked amazing. That was, I mean, if he didn't, he established himself as the king in that division right there in that fight. Over Bivol, over all of them, man. He really did, because Joe Smith is not a pushover type of guy. We've seen him fight. You've seen him lose. You've never seen him lose like that. And as we're going into this fight, we were picking the fight. You know, I had Beterbiev to win. I know Beeb was picking Joe Smith, but it was a 50-50. I mean, across our panel and everything like that, it was a 50-50 fight, no matter what the odds said, because we know that Joe Smith, the fight he brings, the way he fights, that could have given Beterbiev issues. Beterbiev didn't let that happen. Beterbiev took the fight to him. It was a display of violence. It was beautiful.
Well said. I'm going to have to go with Bivol against Canelo. He did this to what many considered the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. Imagine someone doing that to, like, Crawford, and how surprised you would be. You know what I mean? That's virtually what happened in a way. You know, now a little different because Crawford's never lost, but still. After that fight, I felt like Bivol knows what Canelo has for breakfast every morning. Like, I felt like he knows, like, what time he wakes up to take a piss at night. Like, he knew Canelo like there's no tomorrow. Like, he knew what he was going to do.
Probably even knows his favorite color underwear.
Yeah, you know, he probably knows. He probably does. You never know. Like, this, he knows what type of pair of socks. Like, if Canelo wears 2 different types of socks on each foot for good luck, like, he probably knows that too.
You know
what I mean? Like,
eggs in the morning.
He knows what type of eggs. Like, if Canelo asks Bivol, like, give me some eggs, and I already know. I know he like them over easy. Don't worry about it. Like, he would already know. You know what I mean? Oh, it's Wednesday. Never mind. You like it, you know, sunny side up on Wednesdays. Like, he would know that. Like I felt like Bivol had been studying Canelo for years. He knew his every move. He knew what he was going to do. He knew what Canelo was going to do practically before Canelo knew he was going to do it. And I thought that was, you know, very impressive, to be honest with you. That was a hell of a performance. And I think he's punished slightly because Canelo was moving up in weight class to fight him. Right? I think like Bam gets that advantage of that he was the one moving up, you know, to fight, you know, Sorungvisai, because he's a You know, he was from a lower weight class. So I think that's what it is. But bigger guys that outclass the dudes that move up, for some reason, they never get the credit. Like for whatever reason it is. So like people till this day don't give Hopkins credit for the masterpiece he put on against Trinidad. You know, they'll say, "Oh, he was a little dude moving up," but they don't remember how it was at that time. Like Trinidad had just finished destroying Willem Joppy. Like, you know what I mean? Like Hopkins was the underdog. You know, like they were calling Trinidad like the most devastating middleweight since Sugar Ray Robinson. At least Merchant was. So I think that's what it is. But I'm gonna go with Bivol. Is it gonna hold though? Lee, do you think that will be the performance of the year when it's all settled?
Probably not, because there, like you said, there are big fights that are big crossroads, legacy creating fights that could be made in the second half of the year. And suppose the winner of Spence and Crawford delivers a surprisingly dominant performance. That person would probably get performance of the year because of the stakes and because of the person that they had just dominated. It would have to be something on that level where a 50-50 fight turns into a 100-0 fight. And we've got some of those coming up.
Yeah. Now, before we get to the last one, anyone have any honorable mentions for performance of the year?
There's a ton of them you can use. Haney winning 10 rounds on my scorecard against Kambosos in Australia compared to what we thought we were going to see. I thought Errol Spence put on a great performance against Ugas. I thought that was a great performance.
TF.
Thought he took the fight to him.
TF over Dillian White.
I wasn't going to go with that.
See that uppercut? That was the thing.
You could go. I mean, it was like a flawless performance. You could go with it.
Shakur against Valdez. I mean, you can go with Fulton.
You know what?
You can go with Fulton over Roman. I mean, you can go with so many. There's so many of them.
Yeah. I mean, Bam, you could put him twice. Cuadras.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was a great performance. That step uppercut he landed, I mean, that was beautiful. You know what I mean? Let's go with the last one. Upset of the year. Eric, what's the upset of the year for you?
I think I know where everybody's going to go with this. I'm gonna go a different route though. Mark Magsayo over Gary Russell Jr. And you can say that Gary Russell has one arm, blah blah blah. Listen, the bottom line is he got in the ring and he fought, and he was not supposed to. You know, what did Gary Russell have the title for? Like 4 years or something crazy like that. I mean, he had the title for
Over
a long
6.
time. He had a crazy
6 years.
reign, and for him to win that fight over Gary Russell. And Gary, this isn't the first time. Listen, I mean, whether Gary Russell was hurt or not, it's legitimate. I get it. But this isn't the first time he's claimed that there was something wrong. When he lost to Lomachenko, he claimed that there was something wrong there too. So listen, man, every time the guy loses, there seems to be something wrong. Magsayo, in my opinion, Magsayo beat him. He beat him fair and square. And to me, that was an upset.
He also landed that punch of death to the shoulder. I showed him that punch. You know what I mean? So, Calix, upset of the year for you.
There have been statistically bigger upsets this year than the one I'm going to pick. And actually, the biggest upset statistically happened last month. It was like the guy was like 100-1 favorite, and it wasn't even on my app. It was a fight up in Canada. A prospect lost. He was 100-1 favorite, and I forget his name off the top of my head. But I'm going with B-Ball over Canelo because people just seem to forget how we were speaking of that fight before. It was like Canelo was just on a run that wasn't going to be stopped. And B-Ball comes in and beats him like 9-10 rounds in the fight. And it was just, he did it with ease. And to me, that's the upset because high stake fight, the gravity of the fight. And this was B-Ball saying, look, y'all just overlooked me. Plus 450? Really? You got me at plus 450? And this was B-Ball saying, go back down. Don't mess with us up here at 175. This is my division. And to me, that's the upset of the year.
There we go. Upset of the year so far for Calix. Okay. Lee, what's the upset of the year for you?
Among the big fights, probably Bivol and Canelo, only because Bivol was, he wins a decision over Canelo in Las Vegas. That's very hard to do. And but I thought going in stylistically, Bivol had the goods to beat a Canelo, and then he actually did it. So, but I think one upset that nobody's going to mention it. It's never going to win any awards or anything, but it's personally satisfying to me. I'm a native of West Virginia. West Virginia is not a big boxing hotbed, but one of our fighters, Dakota Linger, knocked out Josue Vargas in the second round. Now, Dakota Linger is one of those barometer fighters that you bring in against up-and-coming prospects, and he's good enough to push the prospects, and he's good enough to have actually beaten some of these prospects but not get the decision, but you never saw him come through like the way he did against Vargas, and that was a particularly destructive knockout that that happened. It was particularly punishing and scary. So I'm gonna give a salute, a Mountaineer salute, to my fellow West Virginian, Dakota Linger.
All right. Okay. Hey, Beeb, what's the upset of the year so far?
A little surprised no one mentioned this. This fight maybe have went under the radar a bit, but to me this was a shocker. Miguel Berchelt getting knocked out by Jeremiah Nakatilia.
Yeah.
But he didn't just lose. He got beat up and he got stopped.
Got dominated.
Right? I didn't see that one coming. And he was like a 4-1 favorite. So Canelo was a bigger favorite than Berchelt was. But just the sheer fact that Berchelt got destroyed, he got beat up and he got knocked out, I'm going to have to say that, in my opinion.
That's a good one.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to go, and it's going to sound like I'm just following the herd because this is what most people are picking. But, man, it is what it is. Like Bivol over Canelo.
Yeah.
I think, and I'll just ask the panel right now, and if anybody doesn't think so, let me know. Will it hold by the end of the year? Is that the fight that next year? No, okay.
I think so. Like I said, I think some crazy stuff.
Aren't you?
No, I think some crazy stuff's going to happen in the last quarter. That's my big prediction. Some crazy stuff is going to happen in the last quarter of boxing this year. You got even fights that are flying in the red, like Danny Garcia is coming back should be a good matchup. Adrian Broner is coming back in a good matchup. You're going to have a lot of fun fights being made. And in the last quarter in particular, you're going to get some top fights and some good matchups. And I think you're going to get some big upsets.
Okay.
Bronner's going to be comeback of the year, son. Cincinnati's own Bronner, comeback of the year.
Oh,
Mark it, son. Title town, son.
But you know what? The very fact that we are repeatedly saying that something crazy is going to happen in the second half of the year, or we're going to have a fight of the year during the second half of the year, that speaks well to where boxing is right now and the potential matchups that can be made, the possible drama that can unfold. I mean, it would be quite disappointing if we had all of our winners happen in the first half of the year with no possibility of something special happening in the second half of the year. Now, I'm an optimist. I'm a half glass full kind of guy. I tend to think that way, but that just popped into my head. It's a good thing that we are looking forward to the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other upsets you guys could think about? The big upsets that maybe were mentioned?
Yeah, Wood over Conlon. That's why I thought everybody was going to go. Honestly, I thought the Lee Wood Michael Conlon fight, I thought that was going to be it, man.
Oh, wow. Okay. That was a pretty decent upset, and it was like an upset up until he lost. Like, you know what I mean? It looked like it was like he was an underdog and he was becoming a bigger underdog during the fight, and then he knocks the dude out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would be interested to know like what the odds were like after like round 5. You know what I mean? Like they probably got wider. You know, so hey, that's a good one right there. You know, so it's very dramatic fight.
Berlanga should have been upset.
I thought, yeah, I scored a draw, but it could have happened.
Yeah, I had him losing.
Is Berlanga the disappointment of the year?
Yeah.
Well, upset that it happened.
What was that, Lee?
Maybe it was an upset in terms of you're upset that it actually happened, not that it's a surprise.
Definitely. Well, look, it's been a great show. I want to thank everybody that tuned in. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. If you came in the middle of the show, you could always go back and catch the beginning of the show. Make sure you subscribe to Ringside Reporter Live here on YouTube and catch Eric Lorda and Beeb every Sunday. Subscribe to Calix and go to the website, calixboxing.com. Give it a visit and just stay tuned. Me and Calix are going to be doing a lot of work in the middle of the weeks. And, of course, Lee Groves, catch him on ringtv.com and all that good stuff. And follow him on Twitter as well, Lee Groves. So shout out to everybody. I appreciate it. This is D-Style Boxing. We're out of here. Peace.